Hi, I'm Bill Weinman. My C++ courses use the standard format library for displaying results in the exercise files. The format library is new for C++ 20 and may not yet be implemented by all compilers. As I record this in November 2022, only Microsoft Visual C++ supports the standard format library. Other compilers should follow soon. If you're using Xcode on macOS, this video explains how to install the reference implementation of the format library. This involves a few detailed steps, so please be patient and take your time. There's a few things we're going to need to download in order to perform this installation of the format library. First thing we'll need is the format library itself. This is the reference implementation available from fmt.dev. This is the reference implementation that the standard is based upon, and so this should work exactly the same as the standard format library from C++ 20. This site includes instructions for compiling the library on various platforms, and we can find that by clicking on Usage. You're welcome to follow these instructions. But if you find this a little bit cryptic and perhaps a little bit beyond your experience, we're going to go through this process in this video right here. For many of you, this may be new, and we'll take it step by step. Keep in mind that this process requires diligent attention to detail. So pause the video as necessary, take it slow, your patience will be rewarded. And so back over here at the home page of the format library, there's a nice big download button. You click on that. I've already downloaded this to my downloads directory on this machine. You're also going to need something called CMake, and we can find this at cmake.org/download. CMake is a utility for building from source code on various disparate platforms, and you can find it. You don't want the release candidate necessarily. What you probably want is the latest release, and down here under platform, you look for the latest version for Mac OS, and this is the DMG file. The DMG file is the one that I've downloaded here on this machine. You're also going to want to go over to GitHub, to my GitHub at github.com/bweinman/xcode-format-include. And this is some include files that make the reference implementation work exactly like the C++ standard version. And all you need to do is press this big green button here and download the zip file. And I've already downloaded that onto this machine in the downloads directory. And so I'm going to switch now over to the Finder, and you see that I'm here in my home directory. My home directory on this machine is named Bill W. Yours will be named something different, but you'll want to know what that name is because we're going to need that as we go on. And in my downloads directory here, you'll notice I've already downloaded these three files. We have the CMake for macOS universal.dmg, and the universal is kind of handy because I'm running this on an M1 Mac. And so all we need to do to install CMake is double click on this DMG file and then drag the CMake app over to Applications. And then I can control click on this DMG and eject it. And now CMake is installed, but it has not installed the command line utilities. And we're going to need the command line utilities for CMake. Their graphical user interface version is actually more complex than running it from the command line. It's a very poor interface. And so we're going to be running this from the command line. And so I'm going to switch now over to terminal. And here in terminal, I'm going to type a very long and complicated command. So type this exactly. Sudo, that's S-U-D-O. That's a utility that allows you to run other things as if you're the super user. And then I'm going to type /applications/cmake.app. And you notice I'm just typing the first few letters of each thing here, and then I press tab. And so I can say /contents and C-O-N and then tab, and then bin and /cmake-GUI and then -- install. And so if you type all of that exactly, sudo will ask for your password. I'm going to press enter now. Sudo asks for your password. This is your master password for your account on your Mac. And presuming you have administrator privileges, you'll type that password and press enter, and then it'll go ahead and it will, what it does is it goes into the app bundle. So applications on a Mac are typically .app files are actually directories, and they're actually bundles. And under the contents directory under that app, there's all kinds of things. And so in this case, it's linking those things into an executable path. So now I can type CMake and -- version, and it'll give us the version of the command line version of CMake. You'll notice that this one here, link CMake from the user local bin CMake to this applications version, and that's what makes this executable. So we have now installed CMake on this Mac. I'm going to go back out here to my Finder, and we're going to install the format library. And you notice that the format library there is a zip file, and we don't want to unzip that here. We want to put it in the place where we're going to use it and unzip it. So I'm going to actually come back out here to my home directory. You notice it says build W up here, which is my home directory. Yours will have a different name. And I'm going to create a few directories. And yours will look a little different. I've got some things in here you probably don't. I have a bin, I have Xcode, I have Dropbox. You probably won't have those things. Your home directory will look a little bit different, but don't worry about that. We're going to add a few directories here. We're going to add one called, and I'm just control clicking, and new folder, and I'm going to call this build, B-U-I-L-D. And then I'm going to create another one, and I'm going to call it include, I-N-C-L-U-D-E, all lowercase. And I'm going to create another one, and I'm going to call this lib, L-I-B. And we're going to use these for the installation of our format library. The installation doesn't have to be like this, but this is the way that I've installed it, and I find this very convenient and useful because if I install more utilities, they're all in places where I know where I can find them. And it's really important that I know where to find these things. And so I'm putting them all in a sort of a nice organized structure here. Now we're going to copy this format zip into our build directory. Now you can move it if you want to. I'm going to copy. And now in the build directory, you'll notice that it says that I have my format zip file. Now, when I went to the website, I downloaded the latest version. And the latest version as of today is 9.00. When you do this at a later time, you'll probably have a different version, be 9.1 or 9.2 or something else. But that's the version that you're going to download. You're going to download the latest version. That's the version that I have in my downloads, and that's the version that I have copied to build. And I'm just going to double click on this zip file to unzip it. And that gives me a directory of all the things that were in the zip file. And then I can delete this zip file. I don't need that anymore. And now I'm going to come out to my terminal. Here I am back in my terminal, and you'll notice that it says that I'm in this directory tilde. Now, tilde is the home directory for the user. That's a Unixism. Yours will probably say tilde when you bring up your terminal. And if I type pwd, you'll see that that's the actual directory is /users with a capital U /buildw. And so from my home directory, I'm going to cd into my build directory. And again, I can just type a few letters and I can press the tab and I can type ls to see what's in there. And there's that format directory that I have already unzipped. And now I'm going to change into that format directory and I'm going to say cd fmt and press my tab key. And now I'm inside that directory with all of the source code. And I type ls, you see I've got all these things in here that's part of the source code structure for the format library. Now, inside of this format directory, I'm going to create another build directory. So mkdir build. And then I'm going to cd into that build directory. All right, and now this one's empty, ls, it's empty. And I'm going to run CMake in here. And what CMake does is it creates the build structure for running make. So we're going to type CMake and then ... is the Unixism for the parent directory. This tells us that all the stuff that CMake needs to build this building structure is in the parent directory, but it's going to build it in our build directory. And so I'll press enter and CMake does its thing, and it prints out a bunch of cryptic stuff that we don't really need to know about. All we need to know is that once it's finished, we type make, M-A-K-E, press enter, and now it does the actual job of building the format library from the source. This will take a few minutes. I'm going to let this run, and then we'll pick it up from there. All right, now make is done, and I'm going to test it. To make sure that it got built correctly, we type make test and press enter, and this should go pretty quick. And it runs all these tests, and you notice down here it says 0 tests failed out of whatever number that is. That may be a different number for yours. As long as it says 0 tests failed, you're good to go, and we have successfully built the library. Now we can install the library. The executable of the library itself is in this file called libformat. And so I just say ls lib fmt.a. There it is. I want to copy that file over to my home directory /lib, L-I-B. And so I do that with this command, cp-pr. And I always use -pr with cp. The P means to maintain the permissions, and the R means to copy recursively, which in this case, we're just copying one file, so the R doesn't matter, but I always type -pr. It's useful a lot of the time, and in the other times it doesn't matter. And I'm going to type the name of the file that we're copying, which is libfmt.a, and then the destination, which is tilde, which means my home directory, /lib. And it's copied it. And you'll notice if I look in my tilde/lib, ls tilde/lib, there it is. And the next thing we need to do is we need to copy the include files that go with the library. And so I'm going to cd to change directories to the parent directory, /include. And so this is the include directory that's inside of the lib format. And so there we are, and I type ls and we can see what's in there. All that's in there is a subdirectory called fmt. So again, cp-pr fmt space tilde/include. And that's going to copy that entire fmt directory structure over to our include directory that we created earlier. And if I ls tilde/include, you'll notice there it is. Okay, there's one more thing we need to do in order to make this work. So I'm going back out to my Finder, and you'll notice out here we can see our lib has the lib format A in it, and our include has all of these files that are used for the format library. And if we come back here to our downloads, you see we downloaded this Xcode format include main.zip from my GitHub. And so I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy that into the include directory. And now in the include directory, you have that zip. I'm going to double click on it to open it up and to get everything out of it. And I'm going to delete the zip file. And then inside of this directory, you'll notice there's an include in there. I'm just going to take all of these files and I'm going to move them out to the include directory itself. So now they're in this include directory. Now copy this hello format.cbp to somewhere where you can find it. We're about to open this in Xcode. And here we are in Xcode with that hello format.cpp file. And you'll notice that we have errors because it's not working yet. Even though we've done all of this stuff, we've installed everything, it's still not working because there's one more thing that we need to do. And again, you need to pay close attention because this is all a little bit fiddly. It's all a little bit detailed. And so I'm going to open my sidebar here with Command 1, and I'm going to select my working project here. And, whatever your project is called in yours. This is the way that I set up Xcode. Everybody does it differently. This is the way that I set up. So you want your project, and then you select your project here, and then you select you select build settings, and then all and combined. And I already had something in there, so I'm going to pretend that I didn't have that in there. And your screen should look like this. And then in filter, you're going to type other linker flags. And you'll get this setting here. And then right under where it says working, you double click and you'll get a little pop-up box where you can add some other linker flags. So I'm going to press on plus, and the first one is dash capital L slash, and then your home directory, which for me is users with a capital U slash Bill W. Yours will be different, slash lib. That's that lib directory that we created earlier, and that's where we put the .a file for the format library, right? And so I press enter, and I get that, and I can press the plus again to add the name of the file that it's going to find in there. And this is a weird thing. Most compilers work like this. I'm going to put a dash lowercase l and no slash and no nothing, just right after that lowercase l, no spaces or anything. We put fmt and press enter. And so it should look like that. And if I click outside of this little pop-up box, then you see that it populates the other linker flags, and it says dash L FMT and dash capital L with the path. And then there's one more thing we need to add here. So instead of other linker flags, we say other C++ flags, and we double click in that same spot there, and it should also already have this other C flags, but just leave that alone. If it's there, if it's not there, whatever. We'll press plus here and type dash capital I slash, and then your home directory. For me, it's capital users slash Bill W, and then slash include. And that's the path to that include directory. I'm going to press enter here, and so that it can find our include files. All right, now we're done. I can get that and get this screen again, and then I can click on the actual file. And if I just sit here for a moment, you'll notice that my errors go away because now it's going to work. I'm going to press Command B to build, and you know the build succeeded. Command R to run it, and it says hello world. So what's going on here? We've included the format library, and we're using include format exactly as we would with C++20. This was important to me in building this type of installation. I wanted to make sure that this same source code file would run in a system that has the C++20 format library, something like on Microsoft Visual C++, which already has the library, or in one installed this way with the reference library, but to make them work exactly the same. And if we come out here to our Finder, you'll notice in my include, you'll notice that there's 4 files here: bwformat.h, bwprint.h, and then format and print without a .h. And format and print are just copies of the other two. You could even do a symbolic link if you really wanted to get techie about it, and that would work just fine. But in my BW format, if I press space here for the quick view, you notice that all this is to include the core from the format library, right? And to put it in the standard namespace. And that's all that does. And really, it's only taking a few of those functions, the format, the formatter, vformat, make format args, and it's putting those in the standard namespace. And likewise, the print header, which is copied in this print here. And if I open that up to look at that, all this is doing is emulating the major functionality of the C++23 print header. So there's a couple things we can do here if we want to get rid of cout, and everybody hates cout, right? So I'm going to delete that. I'm actually going to delete both of these, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a print function. And my print function looks like this. And this is just something that'll work very much like the C++23 print function, which was supposed to be included in C++20, but there just wasn't enough time to get it in there. And so it'll be in C++23. And now I can just type print, and I don't need cout, I don't need iostream. All of that is really inefficient and huge. And part of the point of the format library is to get rid of that stuff. And so now I can build and run this, and I can just use print everywhere. And you'll notice in some of my C++ courses, I do this in every single file. But even better than this is once we have C++23, or for those of you installing this way, you can just use the print header, and then I don't even need this print function, and I can either put standard here and build and run, and it works, or I can just say using standard print, and it works like this, and I can build and run, and it still works. And so now you have a really, really useful installation of the C++ 20 formatter with the C++ 23 print function. So you never need to use cout again, or almost never. There still might be some circumstances where you'll want to use it. But you have that freedom to get rid of that huge, ugly, cumbersome thing of cout, and you have a print function very much like you would find in Python 3. I expect Xcode will include support for the C++ 20 format library sometime in mid-2023. In the meantime, this allows you to use these features today.